Dreaming of a tropical wedding? Learn how to create this stunning wedding cake topper with Cricut Design Space. Go over to Shapes and click Circle. First, change the color to gold. Then we're going to resize it to 6 inches. Then click the Offset button and set it to -0.125. And click Apply. Then select both layers and click Slice. Select the black layer to delete. Then click your gold layer again, and we're going to offset it by the same measurement, -1.25. Then select the black and gold layer, hit Slice, and delete that black layer once again. Select one of the rings and use the hide feature to make sure it's the one you want to delete. Then select the gold circle, go over to Offset, and enter -0.25. Then click Apply. Select the gold layer and the offset layer and slice it out. Delete the black and gold layer. Now select the outermost ring, go over to Offset, and we're going to add 0.125. Click Apply. Then go over to Contours button and hide all the contours. Change this layer to white, as this will represent your clear craft plastic circle. Select these 3 layers and group them. I hid the white layer for now. Then click the text box. Type in your future last name, change the color to gold, and select the font option. I used the font Shink, which you can get from defont.com. Then resize it to fit inside your ring. Then go over to Letter Space and choose the spacing that would look good for your design. I also want to make sure my letters overlap to make it an easy read later. Then change the color to gold. Then go over to the text box and type in Mr. Then you can actually go to the font size and select about 42 in size. I was just using my previous as a template. Then go over to Letter Space and hit the down button until the letters are touching. With the Mr. still selected, click Duplicate and type in Mrs. Then duplicate the font again and type in the and symbol. I made them all separate so I can get them super close together and weld them. Reposition it so all the letters are touching for an easy read later. Then select all 3 layers, go over to the Align button and click Align Bottom. Select the and symbol and use the Y-axis to raise it up so all the letters are touching again and it's more visually pleasing. I just did a small adjustment with the misses, but that's all to your style and taste. Then change the color of the letters to gold. Select all 3 layers. You can right-click to go to Combined and select Unite. Play around with the size adjustment until you are happy. I prefer to eye up the words because when I did use the Align tool, it looked off-center. Now click Images. I searched tropical to look up a palm SVG I uploaded a long time ago. I'm sorry I couldn't find it to reshare it with you.
I'm sorry.
But there are many free SVGs you can use. If you do happen to find this SVG, please comment it below, and then you can use the contour button to select the leaf of your choice. Resize the palm leaf to fit your design. Then rotate the palm to flow with the circle lines. I rotated mine about 8 degrees. Then duplicate the palm and flip it vertically. Once you're pleased with the look, select both layers and click the combined button to select weld. Select the weld result layer and click the contour button. Select hide all contours to avoid making unnecessary cuts. It also creates a larger surface area for you to glue it to your project. Now to pick the flowers. Click the image button. I like how the poppy flower looked, and it was free in Cricut Design Space. Here's the SVG number. I'll also put it in the description box below. Select the free SVG and add it to Canvas. Change the color to fit your design. I resized mine to 1.75 inches. With the flower selected, duplicate it and resize it to 1 inch, and then duplicate it again. I arranged my flower placement by eye. Then remember to go to your Layers tab and unhide the offset layer so it'll be ready for cutting. Let me update you on a design change. Since it's the first time I'm making a cake topper, I initially thought that cutting 2 plastic circles with a rectangle stand would be strong enough to hold it up. However, it turned out to be quite flimsy. Please disregard the added rectangle, and you will only need to cut out 1 6-inch plastic circle. I've added the cake topper stick to the shopping list in the description box below. Then click Make It and select Continue. Go to Browse Materials and search for acetate. Select it and click Done. For my project, I decided to click More Pressure. Lay down your craft plastic on a standard grip mat. Use a brayer to flatten it out. Then load it into your Cricut machine to cut it out. Then weed the excess plastic off your mat, which is pretty easy with the plastic. For the next layer, select the material to change it. Go back over to Browse All Materials and search for holographic vinyl. Select and click Done. Sometimes I like to pre-cut a small scrap for the Cricut to cut out. Just make sure you measure 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch more than your design to be on the safe side. Then place your vinyl onto the standard grip mat and use the brayer again to flatten everything out. Don't forget to remove the protective layer. If you see any bubbles, you can use a scraper to smooth it out even further. Then load it back into your Cricut machine and hit the Cricut button to start. With so many cuts, I wasn't too worried about the bubbles. When weeding the gold vinyl, if you're using script, be careful not to rip any of the small lines in the script. Then cut a piece of transfer tape larger than your design, peel it off the paper, place it on top, and use a brayer or scraper again to create that strong temporary adhesion. For the next layer, go back to your holographic vinyl, select it, and then go to Browse All Materials. Type in acetate again. The acetate setting cuts twice. I programmed it for acetate with vinyl to cut 4 times. So you can just run it through once more without unloading your mat to do the 4 cuts. I cut a small piece of my green vinyl and then placed a scrap piece of craft plastic onto a standard grip mat first. Then, almost like transfer tape, you're going to lay the green vinyl onto your craft plastic. Do this part very carefully and ensure it is a smooth application. Load into the machine and have the Cricut cut it out. When weeding this part, it was slightly difficult as The leaves were so thin. I used my weeding tool to smooth the vinyl back onto the plastic first, and then carefully removed the excess. Then I used the scraper to make sure the vinyl was firmly attached to the plastic and weeded it from the center. It felt really cool, and I was very surprised how much I liked how it came out. Now it's time to cut out the flowers. Use another piece of craft plastic and cut a section out for your flower vinyl. Use a brayer or scraper to smooth it onto your standard grip mat. And enjoy the very intricate cut for these flowers. Since this flower was very intricate, you can see there was a lot of lines to pick off when weeding the SVG. Afterwards, I had to go back with a small tweezer to really get those tiny pieces weeded out, but it came out wonderful. If you follow my instructions and only cut out the circle, you don't have to do this part by cutting that extra rectangle that I changed my mind. Now it's time to transfer your holographic gold vinyl onto the circle. This part might be a little bit tricky, to try to line up it perfectly in the center. When removing the holographic vinyl onto the transfer tape, be very careful to make sure all your letters stay in place, because those tiny script lines gave me a little bit trouble when I was weeding this project. Now, actually placing this gold vinyl on top of the circle was definitely the most nerve-wracking feeling, to make sure that you have it perfectly centered. At least the best part with the circle is that you don't have to worry if it's straight or not. You just have to make sure it's centered. You want to do the envelope effect and try to place somewhat in the center. I was trying to focus on the smoothness of the outer circle, and then I use a brayer first to smooth the vinyl down. Then with your scraper, you can go back through and make sure you have a strong vinyl attachment to the craft plastic. Slowly weed the transfer tape off of your project, and I was already so pleased with just this step. I'm not using the best transfer tape. I still have a lot that I need to use up, but if you have any residue like I do here, I just grabbed a Q-tip and Goo Gone or Goof Off to remove the adhesive. Now that my project's all cleaned up, I'm ready to glue it all together. I'm using a glue that's equivalent to an E6000, but it's just the Gorilla Glue brand. Either of those glues will work great for attaching these two plastic pieces together. I was still trying to hide the adhesive lines within the design behind the gold circles. Wait a few minutes and flip over your project. Then add your glue onto the flowers. Use the large flower and center it, and arrange the smaller two to your liking. To secure the acrylic stick to the topper, you can use glue, but I decided to use clear packing tape. Since we were traveling to Dominican Republic for our wedding, I wanted to make sure it wouldn't fall apart in our luggage, so I taped it once I arrived at the resort. The tape worked like a charm, and you couldn't even see the lines. It's been so incredible to craft DIY touches for my wedding. Adding these personal handmade elements has truly made the experience more magical and meaningful. I love that I get to share a piece of my heart with my husband and all our guests.